On this video, I'll talk about campsites and how I cook when I'm truck shell camping. I'll also go over my outdoor kitchen and cooking setup, as well as show you how I cook on the inside of my truck shell. One of the cool things about camping is no two camp setups or campsites are ever going to be the same, which keeps it kind of interesting. Sometimes I camp at an actual campground with a specific campsite. That campsite may have electricity or it may not. It may have running water, there may be hot showers close by, or it might be a campground that offers a primitive type setup where they give you basically a flat spot to set up your camp, a fire ring, a picnic table if you're lucky, and maybe a pit toilet. My favorite type of camping, outside of maybe overnight backpack camping, would be more of a primitive dispersed type truck shell camping, where I just drive up a forest road somewhere and find a place to camp off the forest road. I would rather bring my own table, water, shower, and even my own electric so I can enjoy the peacefulness that this type of camping has to offer. Well, no matter what type of campsite I end up with, I always try to set up an outdoor kitchen to do my cooking. If the weather is not cooperating, or if I'm tight on space or in a really big hurry, I'll just do all of my cooking on the inside of the truck, which I'll get to that and show you how I do that in just a few minutes. Or I have been known to set up a small temporary kitchen on the tailgate of my truck. I'll use one of these 10 by 10 Instant Up canopies over the kitchen, as well as a tarp on the back there just to protect it from the rain and elements. I set everything up on this 6 foot by 2.5 foot plastic folding table. Works out great, folds up and packs up in the back of the truck really nice. I don't always set up this microwave and this electric coffee pot. If I'm staying at a actual campground that has electricity, then why not? If I'm primitive camping, I usually always have my Honda generator, and if I decide that I want to, I'll just run the generator long enough to use the microwave or to make a quick cup of coffee. I always bring along this 2-burner propane stove. This is a cheaper brand than, say, a Coleman. I really can't complain. I've had this stove for probably 20 years, and it's always worked great. It was starting to look a little rough cosmetically, and it had some rust on it, and it was just looking bad around the burners, so I cleaned it up here recently and gave it a facelift, and it's amazing what a little scrubbing and a Scotch-Brite will do. Usually bring along that collapsible water container to do dishes or to wash my hands, and I'll bring along this little Coleman water container. This thing is really old. It's hard telling how long I've had this thing, but I'll just put fresh water in it and use as drinking water. This is one of a couple coolers I'll bring along. This is a Lifetime brand. This thing I bought at Walmart for 78 bucks, and it's really hard to beat. It's 28 quarts. There is a bigger version. This one's pretty easy to carry. It's got a rubber seal around the lid. It's supposed to be bear resistant. It's rated for a 5-day ice retention, and it will keep ice for 5 days. I've tried it in the summertime, and it does work good. I carry a couple of these plastic totes with me. This one has all of my kitchen supplies in it. When I pack this up and set that 2-burner propane stove on top of it, I can slide it underneath the bed from the back of the truck. It fits underneath there perfectly. Got my tablecloth in here. Small pot, small frying pan, large frying pan, a really small, like almost like a backpacking coffee pot that I just absolutely love because it's very functional and small and lightweight, but it belonged to my grandparents when they were alive, and every time I have a cup of coffee I think about my grandparents. Got hand sanitizer, hand soap, dishwashing liquid, some seasoning for cooking, plastic cups, mug, coffee mug, koozie, plastic plates. Gotta have plenty of these around. Lighter, aluminum foil, towels for doing dishes, drying dishes. There's some silverware in there, spatula. Also got some plastic forks and spoons and things. And my propane for the propane stove, and this is fuel for my backpacking stove. I'll get to that in just a minute. I'll show you how I cook on the inside of my truck shell using this fuel and a stove. Well, that's pretty much it for the outside kitchen. Let me show you how I cook on the inside of my truck shell. I don't recommend cooking in the back of a truck shell if at all possible, especially when using some type of a gas stove that has an open flame. Whenever I cook in the back of this truck shell, I'm just super careful and I try not to get into a big hurry. If I have electricity available or if I choose to run the generator, it is so convenient and much safer to use that tiny microwave that sits back there and that coffee pot. The microwave has so many options. Nowadays you can go to the grocery store and get about anything you want that you can cook inside of a microwave. I have a few backpacking stoves that I've purchased over the years. This particular one I purchased recently from Amazon. This brand is Red Camp. There are some similar stoves with different names, but this one cost me about 20 bucks. I like it because it comes with a nice plastic storage case. It packs down really small, yet when the legs are set up on it, it has a fairly wide base, which makes it nice and sturdy. I also like the low profile. The low profile works out good inside this truck shell. Another thing about this I noticed when I first tried to use it is it would slide around on this slick shelving material pretty bad. So I took some rubber grippy material and glued a piece to each foot, which stopped it from sliding around so bad. This particular stove runs on isobutane propane mixed backpacking type canisters. You can get these about anywhere that sells a standard 1 pound propane tank. And by the way, I do have an adapter if I run out of this butane gas and want to switch to propane gas. I have a small adapter here that screws on the end of this hose that lets me use a 1 pound propane gas cylinder. So to keep this canister from sliding around so bad on this slick shelf, I place a little rubber mat on there that's used for actually to put your cell phone on, I think, on your dash of your car, but it works really good to keep this little canister from sliding around so bad. I also purchased this lightweight foldable windscreen from Amazon. It's also made by Red Camp. It makes me feel a little safer about things, and also it helps with splatter or any mess that I might potentially make when I'm cooking. To light this stove, I'll just open up the valve just a little bit. One time with the little spark igniter. Adjust the flame to where I want it, usually pretty low. Now, if I'm cooking and it starts to smoke up in here a little bit, I came up with an actual exhaust fan. I've got this little fan on a gooseneck here. This fan came out of a computer. It's actually to cool the CPU inside of a desktop computer. But this is 12 volts. I have it hooked up to my 12 volt jump start battery, and it works great as an exhaust fan. My cooler also doubles as a kitchen table. One final comment about cooking in the back of this truck shell is, even though I may have an outdoor kitchen set up, it's really nice and convenient to have this little stove in here ready to go first thing in the morning before I'm up and motivated to make a nice hot cup of coffee to start the day out right. What is it about cooking at your camp that makes the food taste so much better? And how about camp coffee? It's basically the same coffee I have at the house, yet it tastes like the best coffee I've ever had. Nature just seems to have a way of adding a seasoning that makes everything taste better. I think it's just a part of enjoying the whole outdoor camping experience.